Hi everyone. I hope you're doing well. Well, the Lord brought to my mind some things that were very encouraging, so I just wanted to share with you all those things. So lately, I've been thinking, like, is the rapture really close? Is it, or do we have to? Are we going to be here for a while? Is it is it the spring, the summer, or is it next year? Is it another 3 years? I was just uh, not feeling very encouraged. And so the Lord and His timing, He is good. I had been asking the Lord for encouragement, and He provided it. So, anyway, so let's see. I'm trying to think where to start. So back in 2000 and either 2014 or 2015, uh, I had a dream, and I think it was about late May when I had this dream, and I shared it on a previous YouTube video, but just to remind everyone, in case if you didn't watch that video, um, I had a dream in which chaos occurred, destruction and death, and just complete chaos occurred, and it was associated with the number 13. And I was given options of either April, May, or June. And at the time, I thought that it was a date set of the 13th for either April, May, or June. But what I'm thinking now is that the 13 is probably more symbolic, although maybe it is a date set, but um, I'm not sure. But I'm thinking the number 13 could be symbolic because in the dream, I was thinking kind of an eerie feeling associated with the number 13, like think 13th floor or just Friday the 13th or just chaos and destruction. And along with that, I remember thinking the rapture. So chaos and the rapture occurring associated with the number 13 and then the months either April, May, or June. Well, I wasn't given any type of a year in this dream. So, of course, when I had it, I thought it was that year. And actually, when I had it, it was, I think, pretty sure late May. I was thinking, well, April 13th is already passed and May 13th is already passed. So obviously it's June, maybe June 13th. So interesting that we're approaching June now. So with this dream, so with the chaos and everything, I think it's interesting the way it could relate to this year is because, first of all, April, May, and June kind of resembles the time period between Passover and Pentecost. And this year in April is when tensions kind of, as far as war and kind of were heightened. So we had the U.S. Striking or launching missiles. I think it was into Syria in April. I forget the date now, but in April is when we launched missiles over there, and so we were all expecting a big war to break out, but nothing huge has happened yet. But it's interesting that that occurred in April, so that was the first month, and so um, and then, of course, we've had building conflict in the Middle East, and of course, been there's been disasters. And so, with my dream of the disasters and chaos, I really wasn't sure if it was man-made or natural. And of course, we've been having the Hawaii volcano um, and increased tensions in the Middle East, and so definitely the man-made or natural disaster is definitely a possibility, and perhaps on the day of the rapture, maybe it'll be both natural and man-made, because several people have gotten that there'd be big earthquakes in the U.S. and giant tsunamis, either on the day of or just after the rapture. So, excuse me. Um, so anyway, we had this heightened tensions of war starting in April. So what I'm getting at here is perhaps something will happen. The big climax, if you will, maybe that will be in June. And the interesting thing is, I read a prophecy probably a few weeks ago that said that May is a month for mayhem, and June will be a month for big war to break out. So that would, if that occurs, that would kind of go along with my dream. And in my dream, I mean, this was a lot of chaos and death and destruction. So in my dream, I associated it with the rapture. So if that is the case, then we could be looking at a June rapture. So I'm just throwing that out there as a possibility. Hopefully we do not have to wait a whole nother year for the Passover to Pentecost time frame to come around, but I don't think we will. And that brings me to my next encouraging point, which is if you've watched people who are trying to figure out the rapture timing, you've probably noticed that they have been using the parable of the fig tree with the 4-year delay in judgment. And so apparently when the 4 years are over, then the judgment is supposed to begin based on the parable of the fig tree that Jesus told, where after 3 years the fig tree did not produce any fruit. They were wanting to chop it down, and then and then it was suggested that they should wait 1 more year, and so judgment or the end would occur after the 4 years. So people have related that to the rapture. Well, I just the Lord brought to my mind today that about Israel and the fig tree generation, which the beginning of, or when Israel became a nation, that was referred to as the beginning of the fig tree generation. So in 1948 or 1947, 1947 was when it was declared, but 1948 is when they officially became a nation. So as we know, the 70th anniversary of that has already came. So we are at, of course, we don't know exactly how long a generation is, but we are at a prophetic time marker of 70 years. I think it's in the book of Psalms, says 70, if reason of strength, 80 years. So anyway, we're right at the end of that. So, and that had to do with Israel. So what I was thinking with this 4-year fig tree parable, perhaps that also has to do with Israel. And so I was thinking about the blood moons, which are a sign to Israel that something is going to happen, and perhaps a sign to the rest of the world that something is going to happen with Israel. So we had the blood moon tetrad, which started in 2014, April 2014, and so and of course 4 years later, here we are in 2018, and the blood moon happened on Passover. Of course, we've already hit that 4-year mark, but whatever is supposed to occur after the blood moon doesn't happen right on the date of the blood moon. It happens, whatever sign is supposed to happen happens after the blood moon, usually within probably a 90-day time frame. From what I noticed, probably not after 90 days after the blood moon. So within 90 days, something was supposed to happen. And of course, we saw a little bit happen with the blood moon, well, probably more than just a little bit, but not as much as what many of us were expecting. Many of us were expecting all-out major war to break out with these blood moons. Tensions were definitely heightened, and there were things that happened, but not the all-out war and judgment that we expected. So perhaps this 4-year fig tree parable starts at the time of the blood moons. So we're kind of at the end of that, although allowing time after the start of the blood moon. So I think in 2014, the first thing that happened after the first blood moon, I think if I remember correctly, it was sometime in June. And I forgot what it was that happened associated with that first blood moon. But the thing is it started in June. So that may relate to the previous dream I had, which interestingly enough was the only rapture dream I had that indicated any sort of timing. So, except for, of course, I had dreams associated with blood moons, so they kind of correlate to each other, meaning that I have had or at least one dream associated with the rapture associated with the blood moons. And there are several other YouTubers who've had the rapture dreams associated with the blood moons. So I think the judgment was supposed to happen around the time of the blood moons, but it got postponed. And so here we are 4 years later. So in that parable, there's kind of a separation between the 3 years and then the final year. So 3 years would brought us to last year, 2017, which was a significant year. So this would definitely fit. 2017, I think in June, was the 50th anniversary of the 1967 war. And so that was significant. I remember people were mentioning that. And then the Great American Solar Eclipse, and then of course the Revelation 12 sign in September. So it was definitely a time when people were expecting judgment to come and also our departure. So a 1-year postponement of that would bring us to this year. So I hope I explained that pretty well. I hope you understand. So the 4-year fig tree judgment begins after the blood moons of 2014, then or the first blood moon of 2014, then the final 4 years would conclude well, pretty soon now. So I'm not exactly sure when, but June probably kind of fits in that time frame pretty well. And since we're almost to June, that would fit really well and also go along with my other dream I told you about. So, and also this relates to a word that I got. I think it was April 1st of 2014, just before the blood moon tetrad began, because the blood moon occurred on April 15th. And so this word was, it will occur on the 4th. And when I first heard that, I thought it was the rapture. So I was expecting the rapture to occur on April 4th. Just I didn't have the full picture. So I'm not saying this is definitely it. This is just me guessing what he meant by the 4th. But perhaps the 4th relates to the 4th year after the blood moon started. So this would relate to all what I'm talking about. And so all this stuff just relates. This April, May, June dream I had, the 4-year fig tree ending from 2014 to 2018, perhaps with judgment coming in June. And also the word I got, it will occur on the 4th. And so all this was just very encouraging to me. Again, I don't know if this is for sure it, but just accept it as encouragement. And I hopefully our departure really is that soon. And hopefully we don't have to go past June. Or maybe we do, I don't know, but I just felt like the Lord was encouraging me that it really is really close. he told me about maybe a week or two ago that he kept on stressing that it's now, the rapture is now, it's now, and so this would definitely go along with that. Obviously, we don't know the Lord's what the Lord considers now, if that is the same as our now, but if it really did happen in June, then yeah, that would definitely be now. So, or very soon, since we're still in the tail end of May, and it could occur anytime now. I'm not saying it couldn't occur today. So, anyway, I really hope this encourages you. It did encourage me. As I was just wondering, when is it? Is it? I just need some encouragement, Lord. So, if you're really struggling, I suggest you just pray to the Lord, ask Him for encouragement, and He will give it to you, because He just gave me some today. So I pray this encourages you and He gives you your own encouragement. So, and also, let's see, with my walk with the Lord, He's just been encouraging me to just embrace the present. Just like making the most of the present moment. Sometimes I can get so wrapped up in future thinking that I let the present moment pass me by. And so it was just really, I like to just daydream and think about the future, and I a lot of times get bored with the present moment. And so he was just encouraging me to embrace the present. And so that was one thing. And another thing was just when you feel like just frustrated with how people are acting toward you, and you feel like either you can't make friends, or just that you love people and they're not loving you back, or just frustrated or feeling rejected should be the main thing. So the Lord was encouraging me with that by just telling me, just your responsibility is just to love people with no expectations of them. Just love them. That is your responsibility. Their response or their actions are not your responsibility. So just love people, love them, and don't worry about how they are acting towards you. Just love them with the love that you're receiving from the Lord. So that was another thing he was encouraging me with. Trying to think if there was others. I've been having just these thoughts from the Lord. Haven't really had much of an leading to make a video until now, so I'm just kind of throwing all this information out at once, kind of two separate topics here: rapture encouragement, and just where the Lord is leading me. And so yeah, anyway, I love you all, and I really hope to see you all very, very soon, and I think it really is very soon. So anyway, be blessed and draw near to the Lord, and Jesus is coming very, very soon. So, yeah, anyway, see you in the air. Love you all. Bye.